jury, Your Honor. My name is Robert Mabry. This is my co-counsel, Mr. Andrew Harris. And you've just heard the case, the State of New Jersey versus Mr. Pat Hopper. Before I present my case, though, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking time today to assist in the proper administration of justice, as well as asserting your duties as U.S. citizens. Considering that this is a criminal case, the state has the full burden of proof. They must prove to you that Mr. Hopper is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt and that he is guilty of all 4 counts pressed against him: trespassing, burglary, theft, and bias theft. Being that we are the defense, we don't have to prove anything. My co-counsel, Mr. Harris, brought out in his opening statement, Hopper is shrouded with the presumption of evidence. He remains under that cloak until or unless you come back from your final deliberation saying that he is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, the state wants you to believe that Mr. Hopper is a criminal man filled to the brim of anti-Devonian sentiment and is more than willing to help Ms. Jackie Whistler descend the Devonian's packet. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this is not what this case is. You've heard the testimony of Ms. Jamie Ringer. Mr. Hopper is a very good boy, on and off the court. He's very good at basketball. He's amazing at it. In fact, he's so good, he's getting a scholarship because of his talent and his devotion to the sport. And what's the most notable? His own intention was there to return a math test, nothing more. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard the testimony of Officer Krischenko. He stated that no items were reported stolen on the day of the incident. He also pointed out that Mr. Wilson had an opportunity to report items stolen, but did not do so. In fact, he ended up just reporting an insurance claim, a claim to the insurance company. She saw that Mr. Hopper was in the library. And if she saw that, why didn't she go back and check the library to see that her precious Devonian star was stolen in the first place? Detective Sergeant Allen's right. Even with all of the expert data he analyzed about possible discussions between Hopper and Jackie Whistler, he does not know what was discussed. He does not know if there was even a discussion at all. For all he knows, as I brought up in my cross-examination, the message could have gone to voicemail and his phone log would have still picked it up. The state calls him an expert. Can we really seal Hopper's fate on that? Hopper's entire life is ahead of him. He's still just an adult. Just became an adult. Miss Whistler, on the other hand, had a choice. She could be a law-abiding citizen, or she could be a criminal. She chose to be a criminal. She chose to take the dark path. And now, the state wants you to feel sorry for her. Now on to a little bit more of Miss Jackie Whistler. You've heard her backstory. She's a woman who's full of anti-Devonian sentiment. She created an anti-Devonian Facebook page to rally anti-Devonian sentiment. She's more than willing and has the motive to send the Devonians out of America. The state did a very good job of proving you who a criminal is. And she's sitting right there. Ladies and gentlemen, submit to you and consider this. The lockbox code that Mr. Hopper used to get into the Wilson's residence was posted on the World Wide Web. For the entire world to see. Literally anybody could see that code. Ms. Whistler was the first person. The state was willing to point a finger at Mr. Hopper, but Ms. Whistler is the one who had access to the lockbox code first. She could just as easily, within a couple of days, gone into the house and stolen the precious Devonian star to further her own anti-Devonian sentiment. Summation, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you cannot prove that Mr. Hopper is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt because reasonable doubts exist. For you to prove he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, you have to believe the credibility of each of the witnesses the state is willing to put in front of you. And during your final deliberation, consider the following. Falsus in unum, falsus in omnibus. It's Latin. False in one, false in all. In short, you are permitted to believe that if the witness is lying about one thing, they're lying about other things too. So I submit, ladies and gentlemen, during your final deliberation, I ask that you find the scholarly defendant, Mr. Pat Hopper, not guilty, and I would like to thank you for coming to assist the administration of justice in their duties as U.S. citizens.
just saw the case of Pat Hopper versus the state. And in this case, a lot was thrown around. And terrorism. Terrorism defines itself as the use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political aim. As we know, Ben Hop, Romer, the Devonian, was on a plane and had a bomb attack. Now, Pat Hopper, who teams up with Jackie Whistler, a friend of his who has a Facebook page, and talks about Devonians negatively. Now,